Google just flipped a switch on one of the largest data collection policies in tech history, and most people don't even know it happened yet. Every single photo you've ever uploaded to Google search, whether it's a screenshot, a meme, a family picture, or a product shot, is now feeding directly into Google's AI training pipeline. And here's the part that should make you sit up. You probably didn't opt in. You didn't sign an agreement saying, yes, use my photos. Google simply changed the rules. Think of it like this. Imagine you hired a photographer to take pictures at your house for a family album. You own those pictures, but one day you discover the photographer has been selling prints to companies building robots, and those robots are learning from your images. That's essentially what's happening here, except Google is both the photographer and the company buying the data. This isn't buried in a 50-page terms of service. Google announced it publicly. But it's such a massive change in how the company treats user data that most people completely missed it. The policy affects billions of users across the planet. It means every image you've shared with Google's search engine going back over a decade is now part of an AI training dataset the size of which we can barely comprehend. Here's what's actually happening and why it changes everything. To understand why Google made this move, you need to step back and see the bigger picture. For the past 20 years, Google has been quietly building the largest searchable database of human knowledge and images ever created. Every day, billions of people use Google Search. They upload images, screenshot text, photograph products, share memes, all looking for information. Google's servers have been storing every single one of those uploads. That's not an exaggeration. Google has access to more visual data than probably any other company on the planet. Meanwhile, AI development has shifted the game entirely. The old way of training artificial intelligence was to carefully curate datasets, hire people to label data, and build models slowly. But the new way, the way that produces GPT, Gemini, and the latest generation of smart AI, requires absolutely massive datasets. We are talking millions, hundreds of millions, or even billions of training examples. Companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google all discovered the same thing. The more data you feed an AI during training, the smarter and more capable it becomes. So Google looked at its vault of billions of user-uploaded images and made a decision. Those photos, that goldmine of visual information, could be the fuel for the next generation of Google AI. And that's exactly what they decided to do. The images that were sitting dormant on their servers suddenly had a new purpose. So how does this actually work technically? When you upload an image to Google Search, that image gets processed. Google scans it with computer vision systems to understand what's in the photo. They catalog it. This is a dog, this is a building, this is code. Then they store it in their massive indexing system. Now, every one of those indexed images is being fed into AI training pipelines. Here's what happens in an AI training process. You show an image to a neural network, a mathematical system designed to mimic how brains process information. The network looks at the image and tries to identify patterns. It might try to label what it sees. If it gets it wrong, you correct it, and the network learns. Do this billions of times with billions of images, and the network becomes incredibly good at understanding visual information. That's how Gemini, Google's AI model, gets trained to see and interpret the world. The key detail here is that Google doesn't need your permission for your uploaded images the way you might think. When you click Upload on Google Search, you're agreeing to let Google use that image for search purposes. But Google's interpretation of use is broad. They consider training their own AI systems to be part of their service to you. They argue better AI means better search. Whether that argument holds up legally and ethically is the million-dollar question. Let's make this concrete with real examples of how this affects your life right now. You take a photo of a product you're thinking about buying and run a reverse image search on Google. That photo is now in Google's training data. You screenshot a map showing directions to a restaurant and save it. Training data. You upload a photo of your kid's science fair project to Google Search looking for similar ideas. All of it. Every family photo. Every personal document you've photographed. Every piece of content you've shared goes into this pipeline. Now think about the implications. Google is training AI systems to understand images better. That means Gemini, Google's AI assistant, will get better at answering visual questions. Show it a photo of a receipt, and it'll understand what's on it. Show it a screenshot of code, and it'll read and explain it. Those improvements come directly from training on your uploaded photos. Google will argue this benefits you, you get smarter tools, and that's true to a degree. But there's another side. Consider privacy. What if someone uploads a medical document by accident, thinking they're just doing a reverse image search? What if a kid uploads a photo taken at home? What if you upload a screenshot containing sensitive information? All of that feeds into Google's AI. The AI doesn't forget. Google's systems learn from it. Google isn't alone in wanting to use user data for AI training, but the way they are doing it sets them apart, and not always in a good way. Let's compare what we know about how other tech giants approach this. Apple has been unusually cautious. They announced their AI features will run mostly on your device, not on their servers. They're trying to minimize the data they collect and use for training. That's partly a privacy stance and partly a business decision. Apple wants to position itself as privacy-focused. When they do train AI systems on user data, they claim they use differential privacy techniques, which basically adds noise to the data so individual users can't be identified. Microsoft has been more aggressive, similar to Google. They are training their Copilot AI systems on user data, but they've given users options. You can disable data collection for training purposes. It's not automatic. Amazon uses your shopping history and voice command data to train their Alexa AI, but users can opt out or delete their data relatively easily. Google's approach is different. The policy change means use of your uploaded images happens by default. There's no major announcement in your account settings. No easy toggle switch that says do not use my images for AI training. It's just happening, embedded in the policy language. Some users can request their data not be used, but it's not a straightforward process. Here's where this gets really important. This policy change represents a philosophical choice about who controls data on the internet. For decades, there's been this implicit understanding. You upload something, it's yours, even if you're uploading it to a big company's platform. Google Search is the exception you make because you want search results. But you probably didn't think of it as giving Google unlimited rights to do whatever they want with my images forever. Now Google is redefining that agreement. Your upload isn't just for search anymore. It's also raw material for AI development. And here's the dangerous part. Once you set that precedent, other companies will follow. If Google can do it, why can't Microsoft with OneDrive? Why can't Amazon with AWS? Why can't Meta with all the images people have shared on Facebook? We could end up in a world where every photo you upload anywhere becomes training data for AI by default, with minimal consent. There's also a massive copyright and artist protection angle here. A lot of images on Google Search include artwork, photography, and creative content made by professional artists. Those artists created that content expecting payment or attribution if it was used. Now Google is using it for free to train commercial AI systems that will compete with those artists. A photographer might upload their portfolio to the web. Google indexes it. Google trains AI image generators on it. So what are your actual options? The honest answer is limited, but there are steps you can take. First, understand what you're dealing with. Google's policy now treats your uploaded images as training data, knowing that should change how you use Google Search. Stop uploading sensitive images if you can. Don't screenshot your bank statements and search for similar statements to verify formats. Don't photograph documents with personal information and run reverse image search. That data now has a different life than you might have assumed. Second, check your Google account settings for any data control options. Go to your Google account, navigate to Privacy and Security, and look for AI training settings. You might find options to limit what data Google uses. It's not guaranteed. Google makes these settings deliberately hard to find, but they exist in some cases. Request to opt out if you can. Third, consider using alternative search engines. DuckDuckGo, Bing, and smaller search engines don't have the same massive training data pipelines. They're not training trillion-parameter AI models on your searches. That's a privacy trade-off worth making if you're concerned. Fourth, be strategic about what you upload. Use reverse image search less frequently. When you do, use a generic image rather than a personal one when possible. Understand that anything you upload to any major platform could potentially be used for AI training in the future. Finally, Stay informed and vocal. Here's what you need to take away from this. Google using your uploaded photos for AI training isn't a bug or a glitch. It's a deliberate strategic choice by one of the world's most powerful companies. They've decided that the billions of images users have shared represents a legitimate resource for training their AI systems. Whether they have the right to do this, ethically, legally, or morally, is something we'll be debating for years. What makes this significant is that it sets a precedent. If Google can do it without major backlash, other companies will follow. We're heading toward a world where the line between data you shared for one purpose and data a company can use for any AI purpose becomes blurry. That's not necessarily evil, but it is a fundamental change in how the internet works. The AI models being trained on your data will be more powerful and more capable than they would be otherwise. That's a real benefit. They'll understand images better, interpret visual information more accurately, and help you in ways we haven't even imagined yet. But that benefit comes with a cost: your privacy, your control over your own creative work, and your understanding of what happens to data you share. What to watch for next? More lawsuits from artists and photographers claiming copyright infringement. More policy changes as other companies decide what Google did is fine. Possible legislation from governments trying to protect user data.